সুপরিচিত একটি নাম। আমি সময় নষ্ট করব না। অধ্যক্ষা শিউলি সরকারকে প্রতি তার কৃতজ্ঞতা প্রকাশ করছি। ওনার অনেক ব্যস্ততা, তা সত্ত্বেও আমাদের এই ওয়েবিনারে উনি সময় দিয়েছেন। আমি সেই জন্য ওনার প্রতি কৃতজ্ঞতা প্রকাশ করছি সংগঠনের পক্ষ থেকে এবং ব্যক্তিগত পক্ষ থেকে। যারা ইতিমধ্যে এই আলোচনা শোনার জন্য আমাদের ওয়েবিনারে এসেছেন তাদের সকলকেও ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি, কৃতজ্ঞতা প্রকাশ করছি। আস্তে আস্তে সবাই ঢুকছেন, আমরা সময় নষ্ট করব না। আমি অধ্যক্ষা ডক্টর শিউলি সরকারকে আজকের আলোচনা শুরু করার জন্য অনুরোধ করছি।
Thank you, Professor Mukhopadhyay. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
A very good evening to you all. At the very outset, I must convey my feeling of gratitude to be invited over here to deliver a lecture on public administration, on any topic of public administration. I am really overwhelmed, feeling honored. I have chosen the topic, the question of gender in public administration. For preparing my lecture, I have taken help from N.P. Follett's book, Dynamic Administration, published by Harper and Brothers, publishers from New York in 1927, and its reprint in 1942. Also the book, Dynamic Administration, the collected papers of Mary Parker Follett, edited by E.M. Fox and L. Arwick, published by Pittman Publishing from London in the year 1940. Also, Bidut Chakraborty's book, Reinventing Public Administration, The Indian Experience, published by Orient Longman from New Delhi in the year 2007. And also my book, Public Administration in India, the second revised edition published by Prentisol India from New Delhi in the year 2018. The question of gender in public administration basically puts emphasis on achieving gender equality and inclusion within government and bureaucracy by integrating diverse perspectives into decision-making and implementing. It primarily involves ensuring women's representation in leadership, bringing about equitable service delivery which addresses the needs of all genders, and dismantling patriarchal systems and glass ceilings that prevent women from advancing. Now, what is glass ceiling? Basically, it indicates that women face quite a few, unforeseen barriers that hinder their progress to top positions in bureaucracy. For this topic, I have chalked out a broad plan of discussion, dividing the entire topic into several small sections. We will primarily deal with the area of public administration in the USA as the discipline first arose in the United States, but it will also mention the examples of Indian and Afro-Asian nations. In the first place, I would like to mention the recognition of gender and even otherness via two acts, Civil Rights Act of 1964 and Civil Rights Act of 1968, two very important acts of the United States. I will very briefly mention these two acts and try to explain them as well. Then I will mention that even after this recognition, gender discrimination still persists in the US administrative sector, or for that matter, in the public administrative sector of all nations as such. Next, I would like to point out two approaches to public administration. One, the masculine approach, and the second is the feminine approach. They are also known as the hard approach and the soft approach, respectively, to the study of public administration. I would point it out and explain it that before the outbreak of World War I, that is before 1914, these two approaches, these two broad approaches to the study of public administration, that is the masculine approach and the feminine approach, they had a peaceful coexistence. But though a peaceful coexistence prevailed between these two approaches till 1914, in the US public administration as a discipline, after the outbreak of World War I, that is just after 1914, the masculine approach tried to prevail over the feminine approach. But it is very interesting to note that even during the same time, that is during the period just after 1914, in the US society, the feminine approach predominated. And I will also explain the reason behind this difference. That is, in the public administration as a discipline, the masculine approach tried to dominate over the feminine approach after 1914. But at the same time, in the US society, the feminine approach tried to prevail over the masculine approach. I would also like to mention that as a result of this masculine-feminine dichotomy, the areas of public administration were strictly compartmentalized, while the sectors of, finance or science and technology-related aspects of public administration were exclusively, dealt with by male employees. The sectors of social justice, social work of public administration were exclusively, dealt with by the female employees. I would also try to point it out that in recent years, the aspects of difference as against sameness or inclusiveness as against exclusiveness were prominent in public administration, and number of female teachers, scholars, researchers, students in the discipline of public administration have remarkably increased, and women started to get more comfort in their workplaces also. But at the same time, there are some gaps which also would be, mentioned by me. Next, I would try to mention the contributions of 5 very famous female public administrationists and public administrators. In fact, 4 of them, the first 4 of them were very famous public administrationists. And the last one was, a very famous, public employee in the United States whose contribution was no less. And she was a female, transgender female public employee. Then I would point out postmodern feminism's approach, how postmodern feminism would try to make a wise blending, judicious mixture between the hard and the soft approaches, that is the masculine and the feminine approaches to the study of public administration. And in fine, I would try to mention in brief what is equity feminism, what are its features, what are its objectives, and how the two things, women's movement and women's education, they have played very significant roles in bringing about equality kind of fairness in the sector of public administration, and also in several other sectors as well. So with this, I think I should start my discussion. I had just pointed out the plan of my, dividing the topic into several sections. Over the course of history, in the area of public administration, gender has played a crucial role. Now, it has become almost impossible to look at public administration without properly taking note of the feminine-masculine dichotomy. In fact, gender, as against the concept of patriarchy, and diversity, as against the concept of uniformity, are two essential themes in the study of public administration. As a result of the existence of these two themes, I should say, the discipline of public administration does not forget to welcome otherness as against the principle of sameness, and to know thoroughly the effects of otherness in policies and programs. When public administration was not quite matured as a discipline, the literature significantly ignored the question of women as such. Their experiences and contributions did not find a place in the textbooks or curriculum of public administration till the 19th and the early part of the 20th centuries. With the introduction of Civil Rights Acts of 1964 and 1968, and consequently with the movements for equal opportunities between sexes and job protection laws, the gender issue was given emphasis in public administration. Now, let me point it out in brief. What are these two very important acts of public administration in the United States? First, the Civil Rights Act of 1964. It was a very significant civil rights and labor law in the United States that outlawed discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. It aimed to end discrimination and segregation in various areas, including public places, public employment, and public education. The act was signed into law by the American President Lyndon B. Johnson on July 2, 1964. And the second very important law in this respect was Civil Rights Act of 1968. It is also known as the Fair Housing Act. It is a landmark American law that outlawed discrimination in housing based on race, religion, national origin, and sex. It also prohibited hate crimes motivated by any of these. The act was signed into law by President Lyndon B. Johnson on April 11, 1968, amidst the riots following the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. We all know that Martin Luther King Jr. was an American minister, activist, and political philosopher who was one of the most prominent leaders in the civil rights movement in the United States from 1955 till his assassination in 1968. As a result of the increasing emphasis on gender, women's views and voices came to the forefront in administration, and the influence of men was somewhat decreased, who wanted to control the discipline of public administration as an academic discipline only. So we see that till the first half of the 20th century, or at least till the outbreak of World War I, the gender question was not taken seriously. It was not seriously taken note of. Why? Because at that time or till that point, in the public employment sector, in the public administrative organizations, women were not employed. Women, basically, their presence was really negligible. So, women's views, women's visions, women's voices were not at all seriously taken note of. But after the outbreak of World War I, for the first time, and particularly after 1964 and 1968, with the passing of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and 1968, we find that women's views, voices, visions, etc., started to come to the forefront. Till the second half of the 20th century, there were a number of gender discriminatory laws and customs, even in the United States. For example, by virtue of a declaration of the US government, women government employees were paid 1/2 of the salary of male government employees for doing exactly the same job. The Equal Pay Act of 1963, however, changed this ugly discrimination and thus helped the women folk. Yet, inequality in payment between sexes still persists implicitly because US women at present earn 77.8 cents for each dollar earned by a man for doing again the same job. This is as per World Bank group report published in March 2024, a very recent report. Dominic A. Bearfield of Texas A&M University emphasizes the aspect of gender discrimination in administrative jobs and observes that this is especially true of female federal employees. Federal employees means basically the US government employees. This is as per Bearfield's study of 2009 and 2014. Again, Shea and Winslow's study of 2006 indicates that though women's conditions regarding payment and representation have on the whole improved, yet women of various racial and ethnic groups still suffer from inequality. So we find that till 1963, I should say that there was naked discrimination between the male employees and the female employees in the United States, public sector employees. And after the passing of the Equal Pay Act of 1963, the discrimination was decreased that much, but the gap is still there. And now, when definitely the picture has improved, when women used to earn half of the pay men were getting for doing exactly the same job, the picture has improved, no doubt about it, because now the average US female federal government employee earns 77.8 cents per each dollar earned by a man, or a male employee, I should say, for doing exactly the same job. So the picture has improved, not 50 cents, 77.8 cents, but the gap is still there. And this is as per the reports of Bearfield study of 2009 and 14, or Shea and Winslow study of 2006, or the Reserve Bank group report, World Bank group report of March 2024. So in all these studies, we find that discrimination is not that naked, but discrimination is still there. There are two different and contradictory viewpoints regarding gender roles in public administration. The first one focuses on efficiency and objectivity in administration and is known as the masculine or the hard approach. The second viewpoint emphasizes the aspect of social justice, social work, etc., and is known as the soft or the feminine approach. Quite interestingly, till the outbreak of the First World War, that is till 1914, there was a peaceful harmony and coexistence of these two contradictory approaches. Both men and women till that period used to work together in the field of administration, devote in implementing policies unitedly and efficiently, and jointly emphasize the principle of classical pragmatism. But since the war started, there was a significant shift in the field of public administration regarding gender roles. The entire public administrative system and machinery became more and more dependent on male-dominated organizations such as the Social Science Research Council's Advisory Committee of Public Administration. This is a very explicitly male-dominated organization, and there were several other male-dominated organizations in the public administrative sector at that time, and there was a clear emphasis on those organizations after 1914 period. In the discipline of public administration, this is very important. In the discipline of public administration, the masculine approach tried to prevail over the feminine approach. But in the society of USA, that is in the American society, there was the dominance of the feminine approach. I will explain the reasons as well. The approach of efficiency or objectivity started to be stressed in the discipline of public administration. In other words, the masculine approach dominated the feminine approach in the discipline of public administration, where significantly increased dependence on masculine principles started to be noticed. So in the discipline of public administration, we find a very clear shift from or what was happening till 1914. Till 1914, we find that male employees and female employees, very few female employees were there, yet there was a clear harmony between them, and they just joined hands in hands to implement policies on the principle of classical pragmatism. But and efficiently and objectively, they tried to implement policies. But after 1914, we find that in the public administration discipline, there was a clear shift towards the dominance of the masculine approach. And many, male-dominated organizations started to be emphasized or overemphasized. On the contrary, it is very interesting to see that the American society's approach influenced the area of administration in a new way. Their emphasis was increasingly upon the aspect of social work, social justice. Thus, the feminine approach in administration was emphasized by the US society. Now, what is the reason? Women's increasing participation in war in Europe and the United States following the outbreak of World War I started to be noticed. We all know that men went to the war front, and females or women, they just went to different factories, different organizations to run the organizations. Women's participation in public administrative organizations significantly increased. The war created a need for labor, leading to women filling the positions previously held by men in government offices, factories, and other public sectors. This shook the male employees since there arose the question of survival. So in the US society, female dominance or females' predominance must be made clear, because female now women started to participate explicitly in the public administrative organizations following the World War I. As a result of this dichotomy, men started to control. I have already pointed it out that the areas of public administration were strictly compartmentalized, while the areas of finance, science and technology of the public administrative organizations were exclusively, dominated by male employees. The areas of, social work, social justice of public administration were exclusively, dealt with by the female employees. So strict compartmentalization of public administrative organization. In recent years, the aspect of difference instead of uniformity in public services has started to be encouraged and appreciated. It is said that to establish democratic governance, the discipline of public administration has to place more emphasis upon inclusiveness. That is, public administrative organizations must include more and more employees from the other gender, not from the masculine gender only, not from male employees only, but female employees also should be there. And not only female, but transgender females also should be there. In this respect, the gender question in administration is particularly welcomed, while established public administration still emphasized the matter of technical implementation of policies as efficiently and effectively as possible. Hence, the principles of efficiency and effectiveness only were given priority, while those of social equality, protection of minority rights and opportunity, social justice, etc., were emphatically neglected. No wonder the gender question at that time took a back seat in administration. The goal of truly integrating women into the administrative system can be achieved only when a depolarized workplace of administration is established. A depolarized workplace should be established, where both women and men's work is equally recognized and appreciated. So if the workplace is made depolarized, only then the value of both male employees and women employees or female employees would be appreciated. Women's proper representation in and contribution to the administrative milieu would definitely mean a distinctiveness in views, perspectives, and skills in the way of policy execution or implementation vis-a-vis those of men. This would ultimately make the work of administration increasingly inclusive and hence democratic in nature. Women's representation and participation can replace a partial representation with a complementary and enriched representation in the administrative field. So when women employees or female employees started to work in the public administrative sectors, started to participate in the public administrative sectors, they did not replace the male employees, or they did not, conflict with the male employees. They did not enter the public administrative organizations at the cost of the male employees. No, male employees were there, and the vacant posts were filled up by female employees. So the representation now is more total rather than partial, more inclusive, more enriched, and as a result, more democratic in nature, because more persons, more individuals from the population are now taking place in public administration, are now entering in public administration, are now getting, employed in the public administrative sector. Same is reflected in the post-liberalization Indian administration as well, in which the issues of women, minority, and underprivileged also gain tremendous attention. In the post-liberalization Indian experience is that the issues of women, minority, underprivileged, etc., they are getting tremendous attention. And the similar situation was found when, many female employees, many female, workers, they started to participate in the public administrative area. Slowly but gradually, there has been a remarkable increase of women among students as well as faculty members of public administration. Consequently, the supply and demand for gender-related scholarships have significantly increased. Number of female administrators too have been on the rise, but the administrative systems in most of the cases were not woman-friendly. Most of the administrative organizations lacked nursing rooms at the office for pregnant or lactating women, or facilities like maternity leave or early afternoon hours in order to pick up children after schools and take care of them, etc. Because for a long time, there were not adequate female administrators. So we find that, female administrators, they started to work, to participate, but the situation was not very female, woman friendly. Why? Because there was a mismatch between the public administrative organizational structure and functions. Same functions are expected from the female employees as from the male employees, but the structure, the public administrative organizational structure was not complete. It was not woman-friendly in the sense that the pregnant women and the lactating mothers, they didn't have a nursing room kind of thing in which they could feed babies or they could take care of, take some prenatal care or something like that. Or there was not the grown-up concept of, maternity leave or long maternity leave, or early afternoon hours in which they could pick up their children from schools or take care of them and so on. So these were lacking. But women employees they started to participate in the public administrative sector. Eventually, the presence of the marginalized sections of the community, these women, members of the religious minority, ethnic groups, etc., is largely noticed in various public administrative organizations. More and more articles on subjects like same-sex marriage, workplace benefits for women workers, transgender non-discriminatory policies, etc., have started to be published in the major journals of public administration. With the introduction of such new policies and developments, women's conditions in the administrative sector have improved, definitely, but not been made at par with men. Scholars observe that discrimination still persists. So, women started to be vocal about their grudges and grievances, And as a result, the ethnic minorities or religious minorities, women from these minority sectors, or transgender women, etc., they started to get some prominence. In the leading public administration journals, also we find that there were increasing articles on same-sex marriage or transgender non-discriminatory policies or workplace benefits for women workers and so on, and particularly women from the minority sector and so on. And even this was met, we find that discrimination is definitely decreasing, but it is still there. Now, I will try to mention the contributions of 4 very famous female public administrationists and one who became famous for her work, transgender female public administrator. The first one is Mary Anderson, then Mary Parker Follett, then Camilla Stivers, then Martha Nussbaum. The first 4 are very famous female public administrationists, and the last one is Susan Stanton, who is a transgender female public administrator. Mary Anderson was born in the year 1866 and died in 1953. As feminism started in the United States during the late 19th century and early 20th century, a significant number of women entered the public sphere and started struggling for women's labor legislation and more socioeconomic equality. Mary Anderson made continued efforts to create equality between sexes in government and bureaucracy. In the mid-1880s, she migrated to the United States from Sweden, and by the 1910s, she earned considerable reputation as an active member of the labor movement. In 1911, after a very prominent garment workers' strike in the USA, she took a leading role in drafting an agreement between the laborers and the management to include a woman's division in the Labor Department of America. She created an extensive lobbying campaign in which she was not successful. Yet she became quite well known for her genuine efforts. And when the 20th Amendment to the US Constitution was passed in the year 1920, and the Women's Bureau was formally established as a permanent organization, Mary Anderson became the head of the Bureau. So she tried her level best to organize the sectors of the other gender in the public administrative organization. Next is Mary Parker Follett. She is very famous in classical management. While we were studying classical management theory, this name was quite familiar to us. Mary Parker Follett, she was born in the year 1868, that is 2 years after Mary Anderson, and died in 1933, that is 20 years before Mary Anderson. Mary Parker Follett emerged as a forerunner to the trend of feminist perspective in administrative studies. In 1927, she clearly wrote, quote, "It seems to me that whereas power usually means power over, the power of some person or group over some other person or group, it is possible to develop the conception of power with a jointly developed power, a coactive, not a coercive power," unquote. So it is clear from her saying that she did not consider the female employees as competitors of male employees. When she conceived of women becoming more and more powerful, that did not mean, at least she did not mean to gain it from male employees. No, both should become powerful by joining hands. And along with powerful men, women can be powerful. This is a very interesting concept, and the concept of power over versus power with became a recurring theme in feminism since the 1970s, and even now it remains in active and conscious use. Follett was not only an American social worker, management consultant, and philosopher, but a notable pioneer in the fields of organizational theory and organizational behavior. Along with Lillian Gilbreth, Follett was indeed one of the two great female management theorists in the early days of classical management theory. So when we were studying classical management theory, we were quite familiar with this name, M.P. Follett. She authored a number of books and essays, articles, and speeches on democracy, human relations, political philosophy, psychology, organizational behavior, and conflict resolution. Her ideas gained great influence after Chester Barnard published his seminal work, The Functions of the Executive. Her emphasis on such soft factors as communication, informal processes in organizations, etc., inspired Elton Mayo and many other management theorists like Abraham Maslow, Kurt Lewin, Douglas MacGregor, Chris Argyris, etc. She innovated a totally new concept of leadership in the following way, quote, "Moreover, we have now to lay somewhat less stress than formerly on this matter of the leader influencing his group, because we now think of the leader as also being influenced by his group." That is, the leader of the group not only sends information to his follower or to other members of the group, and not only commands his followers or other members of the group and so on. He also receives information from the bottom, from his followers. He is also influenced by his followers. Not only influences or not only gives some commandments to his followers. So clearly, not only a top-down, but a bottom-up flow of communication is also conceived of by Mary Parker Follett. The third one is Camilla Stivers, who was born in the year 1938, still alive. Feminist administrative theories have to be traced back to Camilla Stivers and her very influential work, Gender Images in Public Administration, published in the year 1993. She emphasizes on developing a gender-neutral management. She sees the historical exclusion of women from business and politics and their directed confinement to homemaking and housekeeping may neither be natural nor intentional. This view addresses the pre-existing dichotomy in gender positions by seeking to change it to a certain extent. Along with a number of well-known books and articles, she is the author of Gender Images in Public Administration, Legitimacy and the Administrative State, for which she has received the Distinguished Research Award from the section on Women in Public Administration. The reviewer of this book, Hugh T. Miller, believes that the book informs and engages while simultaneously focusing on the major aspects of public administration. Her contributions to the fields of urban studies and public service are reflected in her influential work, Bureau Men, Settlement Woman, Constructing Public Administration in the Progressive Era. Though partially retired, Dr. Stivers currently serves as a professor at Cleveland State University. The fourth very famous female public administrationist is Martha Nussbaum. She is an American philosopher. Her work on capabilities has also focused on the unequal freedoms and opportunities of women. She has developed a distinctive type of feminism inspired by the liberal tradition, and at the same time emphasizing that liberalism at its base involves radical rethinking of gender relations as well as relations within the family. Nussbaum's Sex and Social Justice, published in the year 1998, demonstrates that sex and sexuality are morally irrelevant distinctions that have significantly been enforced as sources of social hierarchy. At present, Martha Nussbaum is the Ernst Front Distinguished Service Professor of Law and Ethics at the University of Chicago. She is here jointly appointed in the law school and the Department of Philosophy. She also has a special interest in political philosophy, feminism, and ethics, and she holds associate appointments in classics, divinity, and political science. The fifth one is Susan Stanton. She is a very famous US public employee or public administrator, I should say, but not public administrationist, definitely, whose contribution is no less. Susan Ashley Stanton is a transgender woman and active city manager of Greenfield, California. She decided to transform her gender from male to female while acting as a city manager of Largo, Florida. A month after she declared her decision, Stanton was fired from her work and was forced to find work somewhere else. The board that fired her claimed that the decision of firing was not related to her transition to a new gender, but the board could not trust her ability to manage the city anymore. Stanton, though served the city of Largo for 17 years, was fired and had to remain jobless for 2 long years. Ultimately, she found a position as city manager of Lake Worth, Florida in 2009. She left Lake Worth for Greenfield, California, where she became the city manager and served there for 4 more years. Then she became the chief operating officer of administrative services of the Santa Clara Valley Water District in San Jose, California in 2017. So we find that Susan Ashley Stanton, just because she wanted to change her sex from male to female, had to shift from one place to another of, 2 very famous states of the United States, Florida and California, just like a shuttlecock. And in fact, she was doubly marginalized, I should say, because she was not only a woman, she was a transgender woman. And so intersectionality could be noticed here. Next, we would discuss postmodern feminism, how postmodern feminism tries to make a judicious, mixture between the hard and the soft approaches to public administration, that is basically the masculine and the feminine approaches. Postmodern writers like Simone de Beauvoir, Judith Butler, etc., wrote on the social construction of the masculine and the feminine. This construction looked at the hard approach of traditional public administration, that is the masculine approach, which conflicts with the ideas referred to as soft approach, that is the feminine approach. Postmodern feminism created a synthesis, a wise blending between the hard and the soft styles of public administration. We will also see what is equity feminism. There is also a recognizable orthodoxy or traditional belief apparent in the works of a number of other public administration scholars. They are known as equity feminists. Equity feminism demands the elimination of the problems arising out of socioeconomic discriminations between genders. Their concern in public administration is basically to establish social equity and justice for women and fair conduct in the way women are treated in employment. In fact, in conventional studies of public administration, the feminist approach in general have concerned with the two following issues. Number one, identifying and reducing gender-based inequalities. And number two, promoting a more egalitarian workplace, that is more equal workplace. At present, one has to understand the fact that gender division in public administration or creating obstructions for women to participate effectively in public administrative organizations is a serious denial of social justice. This is bound to be detrimental to the progress and development of the nation, its people, and ultimately to the world at large. In order to promote women's ability to systematically contribute to the decision making as well as decision implementation or implementing forum, different areas of interventions are necessary. Now we have come to the end of our discussion. I would like to conclude my presentation by unequivocally emphasizing the view that to create a somewhat equal scenario for both sexes in administration, as well as in other sectors, definitely, or in other words, to empower women in a true sense, two things, women's education and women's movements, have both played a very crucial role. First, I would like to mention women's movements and its reflections in public administration in very brief. Women's movements in both India and the USA have significantly influenced administrative policies, leading to reforms in areas like women's right to vote, legal protections for women, and gender equality in various sectors. In India, women's movements contributed to the granting of suffrage to women, laws against dowry and domestic violence, and the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act. Here, such movements have advocated for women's economic empowerment, leading to the establishment of self-help groups to provide financial support and opportunities to the women in the informal sector. Several women-led environmental movements have led to significant administrative changes, particularly in India. Here, women's leadership in movements like Chipko, in which Gaura Devi of Garhwal Himalayan region, whose leadership and inspiration, who could really inspire thousands and thousands of Garhwali girls and women to launch the Chipko movement, to take active part in the Chipko movement, and the Narmada Bachao Andolan, in which Medha Patkar's leadership was just unquestionable. These movements influenced environment-related administrative policies and legislation. These movements highlighted the vital roles of women in environmental conservation and gave birth to major policy changes like the Forest Rights Act that empowers local communities in forest management. Similarly, in the United States also, women's suffrage movement led to the 19th Amendment, granting women the right to vote, subsequent advancements in workplace equality, reproductive rights, and legal protections for women against discrimination. Similarly, the Equal Pay Act of 1963, I have mentioned it in the beginning of my lecture, in the United States is a key piece of legislation stemming from the women's movements. So in very brief, I have mentioned how women's movements have given birth to several, legislations and several policies or policy changes in the two states, USA and India as well. Similarly, women's education has also played a key role in making women somewhat equal vis-a-vis men in administration as well as in other sectors of life. And in this context, I just can't resist myself from mentioning a study by not only a study, I should say, 5 very interesting conclusions made in this study by two researchers, two female researchers who were researching in the MENA countries, that is Middle East and North African countries. They were Farzaneh Rodi Fahimi and Valentine M. Mogadam. In their 2003 paper, they have made these 5 very interesting conclusions. I'm just mentioning the paper. I'm just mentioning. The name of Rodi Fahimi and Mogadam's paper is Empowering Women, Developing Society, Female Education in the Middle East and North Africa, published by Population Reference Bureau in the year 2003. Their conclusions are: number 1, more and more women are educated, less and less is their fertility, less and less is the population growth rate, less and less is the infant and child mortality rate, and more is the improvement in the health of the family. Second, more and more girls are enrolled to secondary schools, more and more will be their participation in the labor force, more and more consequently will be their contribution initially to family income and ultimately to the national income. Thirdly, women's increased income is directly related to a sharp rise in the nutritional level of the children in the family. From surveys, it has been seen, it has been found that when women earn more, they have a tendency of spending the extra amount of their income on the nutritional aspect of the children in the family, like regular health checkup, regular immunization and vaccination of the children in the family, regular purchase of nutritious food, health drinks, and so on. And automatically, there is a sharp rise in the nutritional level of the children in the family. Fourth, daughters rather than sons of educated mother are more likely to achieve higher educational attainment. This is very encouraging for educated mothers having daughters rather than sons. And last but not the least is more and more women are educated. Higher and higher is their level of legal literacy. They know what their rights and freedoms are and what legal steps they are going to take when such rights are being violated. And as a result, they get better treatment from the male members of the family. And this itself sets a good example for the children in the family. Because when children find that their mothers are more respected by their fathers or grandfathers or uncles in the family, they feel much safer. They feel more and more secure. And this automatically leads to a better pattern of their socialization. So these are the 5 very interesting, conclusions that Farzaneh Rodi Fahimi and Valentine M. Mogadam have drawn. And for the third conclusion, that is when women earn more, that is their higher income is directly related to the sharp rise in the nutritional aspect of the children in the family. For this, they have given the reference Daisy Dwyer and Judith Ruth's edited book, A Home Divided, Women and Income in the Third World, published by Stanford University Press from Stanford, California in the year 1988. I have mentioned this study just to indicate that just like women's movement, women's education also can have the capacity of, achieving that power to bring about some sort of equality in the public administrative sector as well as in various other sectors regarding the sexes. And with this, I think I should end my discussion today. Thank you very much. Thanks all for listening to me patiently. Thank you. If you have any question, I will be happily try to answer to them.
Hello, Siuli. I'm supposed to give a short summary of your lecture. So first of all, I should say that Professor Siuli Sarkar, principal of Lady Brabourne College, she is not only an efficient administrator but also an erudite scholar. She has proved her capability this afternoon, this evening, and her contributions in the sphere of public administration is really commendable. So it is nice to hear her thought-provoking lecture on public administration. So I should say that this lecture is very organized and also it is very enlightening. I should start from the last points that this participation of women in public administration, of course, it is perhaps it is totally dependent upon women's education. And you have summed up the points. I agree with each and every point that, first of all, in order to make sure that the women should get the opportunity to participate in the administration in the decision-making process, the need of education, women education is first of all necessary. And secondly, you have mentioned that the girls should at least have secondary education that is helpful from various dimensions. Thirdly, this if the women are educated and they can earn something, it can assure nutritional improvement. And finally, you have mentioned that to me, this is the most important point, that education gives the women legal literacy. This is perhaps, to me, this is perhaps the most important point, because this consciousness can generate among the women the real demands, the real status of them in the society and all that. So, and you have very delivered your lecture in a very organized way, from masculine or hard to feminine and soft, the situation before 1914, situation after 1914, the system, public administration and its status in the USA and in India. So this is a very organized, this is a very organized presentation. And like you, I also want to know if there is any question or any observation or any comments on this enriched lecture of Dr. Siuli Sarkar. So if if anyone is interested to put a question, please.
Thank
So,
you, Kundi. Your
Manali.
words mean a lot to me. I must concede.
Thank you. So, someone raised his hand or her hand. Manali, Chandraboli Das. Okay. Or Manali, or I couldn't have the name.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yes,
I am
good
Dr.
evening.
Chandraboli Das. Thank you very much, first of all, ma'am, for your wonderful deliberation.
Thank you.
Now, actually, due to network issues, I had to leave sometimes, but still, whatever I heard and listened to you, I came to know a lot of things. Thank you for that. Now, ma'am, my question is, in this age of neoliberalism and globalization, now, what is the exact role of women and particularly speaking the third gender so far as public administration?
Launch movements against it. Launch movements against it. They have to revolt. They have to, express their views, visions, and voices. And for that, education is necessary. Probably, I am someone who is associated with female education for a long time, my bias is always on women's education. But I feel that to do anything, positively, to do anything concretely, to do anything in a constructive way, and particularly to provide leadership, what is really, really necessary is education. You have to get educated first, and only then you can raise your voice. You can prove your efficiency. You can prove your objectivity in administration. We are primarily here concerned with public administrative sectors or public administrative organizations. If one can prove her efficiency, her capability, her objectivity, then she can, cross at least some of the barriers. I cannot say all the barriers. No, we are not in a position to do it. But women's education, spreading of women's education to a significant extent is the most important thing, I think so.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Any more question?
Yes, Siuli, I am responding from USA. At present, my temporary residence for last several months.
Oh, really?
I have heard your I have heard your very, very illuminating lecture and followed by
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Siddhartha.
followed by Kumkum's summing up. I just only want to be enlightened on just one point. How can public administration or public policies in India promote gender equality? Can you throw some light on it?
If the government takes some policies, some concrete policies regarding this, in our state, we find some pro-women policies. But unfortunately, in the United States, we do not find such policies right now. And many, pro-woman efforts have been defeated in Trump's administration. So in the first, first phase of Trump's administration, they were gone, and in the second phase, they are supposed to be gone. So, like their right to abortion or their right to, pregnancy and many other rights, Trump government is not encouraging such rights of women, so they are at a dilemma. When some, some scholars from the USA visited our institute. They were in February, last February. They were, they were saying that they are not very hopeful regarding the present situation, regarding, policies, pro-woman policies, or, kind of bringing about some sort of equality between two sexes in the public administrative sector.
Thank you very much. ভালো থেকো, খুব ভালো লাগলো তোমার শুনে। Thank you. Thank you.
This is a request to the listeners or viewers. If you please open your microphone and put the question, that will be nice, instead of writing the question. Anybody?
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, ma'am.
What is your name and from where you are talking?
Good evening, ma'am. My name is Manali Mauli. I'm from Jadavpur University, International Relations, UG2. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your fantastic lectures and your deliberative studies on this matter. I have get to know a lot of things from the enriching lecture on public administration. So, ma'am, I want to know one thing, that in this era of artificial intelligence and women empowerment, still we are seeing a religious conservatism, especially in the third world countries.
I couldn't hear you properly. Would you be a bit louder?
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible now. Yes.
Yeah, ma'am, in this era of artificial intelligence and increasing women empowerment, still we are seeing something ridiculous religious conservatism, especially in the third world countries, which is constantly saying that women are not eligible for top works. So it is harmful.
Eligible for what?
Women are
not eligible for tough works. Tough
works. Okay.
Yeah. So, ma'am, is it being harmful for women empowerment and the public administrative participation for women?
Yes, if in the army, as one scholar also has pointed it out, that in the military sector, there is naked gender discrimination even now. This is very, very unwanted, I should say. Yet I should say that if there is continuous, voice raising, or views are continuously being expressed against it, kind of movements not necessarily mean that they are bound to be wars, no. But, pens are really sharper than swords. I believe so. So if their, reasons are thorough, if their reasons are fair, and that can be done only by, thorough education, sound education, definitely the barriers will be, decreased. I cannot say whether the barriers will be absolutely withered away, no, but they can be decreased to some extent at least. I'm hopeful.
Anybody else?
Yes.
Huh.
Good evening, ma'am. This is Dr. Joita Das, Assistant Professor in the College of Victoria Institution College.
Welcome, Joita. Welcome.
Thank you, Didi. First of all, ma'am, thank you for such an insightful lecture. Madam, I want to know from you that as far as the participation of women in public administration is concerned, ma'am, can we consider women as a homogeneous category over here, irrespective of their social distinctions on the basis of caste and class? Or here also we need to make a distinction on the basis of caste, class, and other social distinctions, other social distinctions.
No, women, caste, class, etc. distinction can be wiped out if there is a thorough spread of education among, women. So if there are educated women, they can enter any and every sector of public administration, public administrative organization, and so on, according to their interest and according to their educational capabilities.
Yes, all right, madam.
Thank you. Anyone else? Siuli, you have made a very thought-provoking lecture. That's why so many questions are coming. I'm so happy. Okay. Anybody else?
Good evening, ma'am.
Yes. Please disclose your identity.
Yeah, myself Utpal Roy, and I'm a student of political science. So I was listening to your lecture. It was really thought-provoking. And I was also listening, the questions was raised by some scholar here. And by listening all these questions, some questions raised in my mind. So I just
think she will never face any problem if she is serious about her own job.
No, ma'am. My question was that what are the changes we are actually encountered? Okay, from public administration to public policies by getting.
I have mentioned in my lecture that when at the initial stage, when women, started to participate in the public sector or public administrative organizations, as a result of the masculine-feminine, dichotomy, the areas of public administration were strictly compartmentalized. Like I have told you that the areas of finance, science and technology, etc., were exclusively dealt with by male employees, and the areas of social justice, social work, etc., were exclusively, dealt with by female employees, and so on. But now that strict compartmentalization is not there. So in many science-related sectors, women employees are still there. In many social science-related sectors, the male employees are also there, and so on and so forth. So regarding that, there shouldn't be any discrimination.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your help.
You're most welcome.
Another viewer has raised his or her hand. I can't read the name. Yes. Yes, open your microphone and put your question, please.
Yes, ma'am. I'm Indrashish Banerjee. Am I audible to all of you, ma'am?
Yes. Yes,
ma'am. Yes. Thank you so much. I am associated with the Ramakrishna.
With you. Actually, a lot has been talked about the new national education policy.
Please give your identity.
Yes, madam, I am Chandravali Das from Kidipur College. What I would like to share with you is that this national education policy, it is talking about making students more and more employability skills, and trying to Indianize this entire system of education. Is trying to Indianize this entire system of education, stating that this indigenous knowledge system and things like that will encourage more and more students to know about the ancient Indian culture and heritage. But it is very, very unfortunate to find that the admission of students is dropping every year. The student admission is not as per our expectations, and as we all know that to be in the administration, this female literacy education, this is very much important. But from the day when this NET has been introduced, student admission has been drastically falling across the colleges.
This is altogether a new, area of discussion. I think it needs a separate discussion also, because I wanted to give a lecture on the question of gender in public administration at the National Education Conferences. Came in our conversation because we were discussing regarding some sort of stress and strains faced by students right now. But if we want to, relate national education policy and students' small and large enrollment and so on, definitely, I think this should be required. This is altogether a new area of discussion.
Okay, ma'am.
হ্যালো, এখন ভোট অফ থ্যাঙ্কস দিয়ে শেষ করে দিন, প্লিজ কনক্লুড।
তাই হ্যাঁ, সেটাই বলছি যে so now we have come to an end of this discussion. I am thanking our speaker, our respected principal Siuli Sarkar, for her illuminating speech, and I also thank all the members, all the viewers who have put very thoughtful questions, and all the viewers who have listened to this beautiful lecture today. So, and have all of you have made this evening a very success. So, thank you, and I am here declaring the end of this session. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. May I leave the platform?
Yes, yes, of course.
Thank you so much.
So I am also leaving.
Yes, absolutely.